Thanks for joining us here on Fox 9 All Day. I'm Courtney Godfrey. Happy Thursday, everybody. Let's jump right into those headlines. Well, the man who shot and killed House Speaker Melissa Hortman and her husband, Mark, was spend the rest of his life in prison. A federal judge today sentenced 59-year-old Vance Bolter to 2 life sentences plus 40 years behind bar after he accepted a plea deal related to the killings. Hortman's family, as well as Senator John Hoffman and his family, were in attendance and provided victim impact statements today in court. A police shooting in Madison, Wisconsin is under investigation after officers fatally shot a man during an attempted arrest yesterday. Police say the man injured an officer with a knife during a struggle after reports he was trying to break into parked cars. Cell phone video of the shooting has sparked protests, and the Wisconsin Department of Justice is now leading an independent investigation. And in fire news from up in northern Minnesota, the Lake County Sheriff's Office will be allowing property owners impacted by the Camp Fire to access their properties today. Meanwhile, the Forest Service is weighing reopening parts of the Boundary Waters. And on to the next story that we already teased there on the bottom. If you're planning to hit the lake, check before you go. Several Twin Cities beaches are temporarily closed after routine testing found unsafe levels of E. coli bacteria, likely caused by recent rain combined with heat. Health officials say beaches will reopen once follow-up tests show the water is safe. You can find the latest beach closures and advisories on your county's water quality map. A website I like to use as well is mnbeaches.org. They usually have the very latest on those beach closures. And the first round of the 3M Open in Blaine is underway at TPC Twin Cities. World #1 golfer Scotty Scheffler is making his tournament debut, joining defending champion Kurt Kitayama as players battle for one of the final spots in the FedEx Cup playoffs. The tournament runs through Sunday. Executive producer Paul Milgate joins me now. Paul, not a big golfer, but maybe you like some putt-putt?
I'm not very good at it. That's the problem.
Well, nobody's good at putt-putt because they build the course so that you don't win.
Yeah. I mean, look, I enjoy it. We have a lot of like putt-putt bars in Australia, so you can go and you can play putt-putt while you meet up with friends and things. Still terrible at it. I'm still just not very good at it. I think I have a sneaking suspicion that you would be very good at putt-putt.
Well, like I said, I think they're kind of like circus,
like carnival games.
Yeah, they're like carnival games where they make it so that it's really hard to get them in. We did do one of those bars a couple years ago with friends. There's one in the North Loop, the Puttery, where it's a bar but with a putting thing. It's really hard, really hard. I like golf. It's not one of my favorite pastimes. I do play, but I am excited to see Scotty Scheffler, though. We're planning on taking the kids out.
It's great to have Scotty Scheffler here in Minnesota. I think that's the 3M Open's obviously a great classic, and have that sort of name brought to the table. That's incredible.
It's really huge for Minnesota.
I know that there are a lot of golf fans in the Fox 9 newsroom, and if they're listening, shout out Howard, etc., that love a bit of golf, and so I'm sure they're very excited that Scotty Scheffler's in town.
Scotty Scheffler got to golf with Vikings head coach Kevin O'Connell yesterday.
Yeah, I did read that. I said that I read an article where he was treated to some Minnesota nice, but that he didn't get any secrets about what's happening with the quarterback. I mean, so that's still the best kept secret in town. What's going to happen with the quarterback this year?
Scheffler said he didn't want to ask Kevin O'Connell too much about football because he knows he's getting ready for the season, and he said he didn't want to really bug him about the quarterback stuff, but he did compliment him. He said you can tell he's a really smart guy and a really great leader, so that's pretty cool.
It does feel like if that secret is going to get out there, it's going to come out on the golf course, don't you think? It's like between rounds, guards down, ask the question.
Yeah, a couple of drinks in.
What was he thinking? He could have got us the scoop.
I think Scotty Scheffler's a rich man. He doesn't need to get us the scoop. He's focused on his golf game. The purse this weekend is over $8 million.
Wow.
$8 million.
$8 million if you win.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's almost as much as Courtney Godfrey's wage here at Fox 9.
That is not accurate.
I'm just going to put a super up here, Fox, for you to be able to connect with us at home, fox9.com/all day. We try and have polls up there. There's not one up there right now, but there are sections where you can send us photos. You can send us photos of what's happening in your life. If there's a segment that we're talking about and you want to just send us a comment, jump on there, type in a comment. It pops through where we can read it, and if we might be able to read it out online, on air.
Send us a picture of your time at the 3M Open.
That's right. If you're at the 3M Open, send us a picture. We'll whack it up. Or if there's anything that we say and that you don't like it, send us a message.
Yeah, don't email our bosses.
Don't email our bosses. Just send it through here. We'll read it on air. Then our bosses can hear the problems on air in front of everyone.
I don't know about that. Maybe don't send your feedback to that email. Maybe just stick to the photos. Stick to the photos. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back after this. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us on this Thursday afternoon. Some big news for northern Minnesota residents and those who like to visit the Arrowhead region. We just got word from the U.S. Forest Service that they will start opening portions of the boundary waters, that they will start giving permits. So the news that we just received is that permits for select points of entry in Cook County starting Monday are open for visitor use. Day use at other entry points remain closed. So select points of entry in Cook County will open up. Permits for all points of entry for overnight use are canceled through next Wednesday, so there's no overnight camping, but they are opening up some of those entry points in Cook County starting Monday. They are advising visitors to be diligent when they plan their trip, as there are active wildfires still in the area. But they say that if there is no major wildfire activity this weekend, the Boundary Waters Canoe Area Wilderness might partially open for overnight camping next week. So it sounds like they're going to reevaluate for overnight trips the middle of next week. But as for day trips, small portions of the Boundary Waters will start to open up on Monday. So that is good news as we continue to hear that these cooler temperatures and the clearing of smoke has really helped in that firefight, and they're able to allow visitors to come back in. All right. In other news today, Vance Bolter, the man who shot and killed House Speaker Melissa Hortman, her husband Mark, the man who also injured Senator John Hoffman and his family, has been sentenced. He will spend the rest of his life in prison. He received 2 life sentences plus 40 years after accepting a plea deal related to the killings. Our very own Corin Hoggard was in the courtroom today in federal court and got to listen to some very emotional family impact statements. Corin, thanks for joining us. Corin, his shot may have frozen. Oh.
Oh, no. Where are we?
There we go. You're starting.
Try this again. Can you hear me? Sorry. Always the problem. Trying to find the spot where you got sunlight and a Wi-Fi signal. I got to get closer, right away from the city here.
There you go.
So, yeah.
We've got you now. So you were in court today. I mean, that had to be an emotional day.
For everyone, I would say. I sitting in the audience there, I know I lost it a few times, and other people in the audience, including members of the press, were losing it. There's, I don't know what else can be said. This is a really terrible situation where a whole lot of people were impacted, not just the families, but maybe the entire state of Minnesota. That's exactly what the Hortmans and the Hoffmans would say. And we heard from Representative Kristen Bonner. She was actually one of the targets whose house the assassin went to, and she just happened to not be home. But she's like, I would have opened the door. And so, of course, she's emotional, not only because of that, but she lost her friend and mentor, Hortman. That was her campaign worker when he was a 17-year-old and one of her best friends in the legislature. He wasn't necessarily targeted, not as far as we know, but we do know that the assassin went to 4 houses. So the Hoffmans, the Hortmans, Rep. Bonner's, and also Senator Ann Rest's house. And we know that he actually programmed other DFL lawmakers' addresses into his GPS. And so he intended to get the political wing of Republicans in the state of his entire intent. And, that really takes democracy out of the hands of the people of Minnesota. And so that's why a lot of the folks there believe that it wasn't on the Hortman.
Okay, we are having trouble hearing you, Corin. You're cutting in and out. I do want to hear more about what you heard in the courtroom because I know there were so many details. So we'll keep trying for a little bit longer. But I apologize if we have to cut you short. We can't hear you super well. So we heard from the Hortman's son, Colin, and his wife. He was newly married. Him and his wife both spoke. They were engaged when the murders took place, but they're now married. And they talked about it was horrible reading your live updates on Facebook. You were live updating followers on Facebook while in court. He talked about the trauma, hiding that night, having trouble sleeping, panic attacks, and then having to plan a wedding without his parents around. Talk to me about some of these these personal stories of trauma that you heard from the Hortman children.
Honestly,
Okay. I'm sorry, Corin. We're not able to hear you. And that's unfortunate because I know that you were in there, and no one can report on this like the individuals that were actually in the room and witnessed it. So Corin Hoggard, you'll be able to see his report tonight on Fox 9 at 5 and 6. You can also find that here on fox9.com/live and the Fox local app. Paul Milgate,
Yeah.
I do just want to bring
I
you
don't know.
in
I'm right.
briefly because if you look at Corin's Facebook feed, he was sharing a lot of this throughout the morning. And, Colin and his wife talked about, Colin said, my mom was going to bake the cake for our wedding.
Yeah, and that he didn't get to dance with his mum at his wedding. And you just go, that is just heartbreaking
So
for someone
heartbreaking.
to not only go through, but for it to be on such a in such a public platform as well, to sort of have to have this play out in the public eye must just add in a complete level of pressure to it that I just can't even imagine.
His sister, so the Hortman's daughter, said she still hasn't been able to find the words to write down the hole that it's left in her heart. So she talked more about their dog Gilbert, who was also killed in that shooting. And she talked about having, to be there at the vet and put the dog down. So the dog's injuries were so severe that the veterinarians suggested that it was no life to live, that it would not be fair to the dog, and so they had to say goodbye to the dog at the vet. And just, her recounting how she told the dog, "You're going to be with mom and dad," and
Yeah. I was reading and wrapped in a green flannel blanket with his nose sticking out and his little paws sticking out. And just that extra layer of knowing everything that they had been through already before they'd even had to wrap their dog up and go to the vet, knowing what had happened to their... I mean, it's just unthinkable.
You always in these situations think about what if, what could I have done, what if, and Colin addressed that, their son. He said that he was at the lake that night and that he almost came home that night of the shootings, but he decided to extend his trip another day, and he said he wonders if it would have made a difference, if his dogs would have been a little more aggressive than Gilbert and scared off the shooter, or if his car in the driveway would have deterred the shooter from approaching their door. Those what ifs are probably some of the hardest parts of trauma.
Yeah.
But he also recounted, finding blood on his hands and realizing he didn't know if the blood was from his parents or his dog. I mean, just terrible details that they spoke in court today. So emotional, awful.
I can see that Corin is staying on the line with us. I think he can hear us. While he gets into place, I think he's still trying to get us so that he can give us a little bit more of an update. One thing I'm interested to hear about as well is that rationale from the judge. How is that 2 life sentences and 40 years? How does that get broken down? Like, as someone, I don't fully understand that, but is that a life sentence for each life he took, and then the 40 years is for the attack on the Hoffmans? I'm not entirely sure, but Corin is nodding there, so I'm assuming that that is exactly how that works. Corin, if you're up for it, should we try and bring you in and you can kind of give us another recap of what it was like in the courtroom? Do we think we're good for that?
Let's give it a go.
Okay, let me see how we go here.
Sound better now? Can you hear me?
You're still cutting out, Corin. Unfortunate.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry because you really reading your live updates from the courtroom was really helpful, and we so appreciate your reporting. I'm sorry that this isn't working here, but you can head to Corin Hoggard. He is on Fox. He has a Facebook page where he did live updates from that court hearing, from that sentencing hearing. But again, Vance Bolter, the man who shot and killed Minnesota House Speaker Melissa Hortman and her husband Mark, sentenced to 2 life sentences plus 40 years. He will spend the rest of his life in prison. He will never get out of prison. There is no possibility for parole. The judge today said it is the longest sentence he has ever imposed, but he called it well-deserved.
Yeah, I mean, I know that there was conversations at one point as well as were we going to see the death sentence put to that? I mean, I think that was put to bed quite a while ago. But I also just wanted to update anyone that is interested to sort of see how things did play out in the courtroom. Some great live reporting from Corin that you head to fox9.com. It breaks it down as well, just kind of in chunks as he had more to report. So if you wanted to hear more about what Corin had to say, you can also head to fox9.com right now. It's the top story that is on our website as it stands.
All right. So sorry that that's live TV. Sometimes the signal just does not work. We are going to take it to a quick break. We'll be back with more right after this. Welcome back. Well, the number one ranked men's golfer in the world is right here in Minnesota all weekend. Ahmad Hicks, it sounds like you're going to get a little bit of a peek of him maybe on Sunday.
For sure. Probably, yeah, that may be my assignment. And it's always a fun time going out to the 3M Open. It'll be hot this weekend, but I saw a line of people following Scottie Scheffler, and the amount of excitement he's bringing towards the Twin Cities is just unthinkable. So I'm sure Sunday will be a crazy atmosphere. It's always a long line of buses to get over there, so I'm sure it's going to be even longer this weekend. So I'm looking forward to it.
And these guys love playing for the fans. You know, they hate those venues where there's not a lot of fans. You know, while golf is a quiet sport, they do still like to see all the fans around. So it's pretty cool. He got to golf with Kevin O'Connell yesterday.
He did yesterday, and Scottie Scheffler was asked about our quarterback situation. Like I said, everyone wants to know, and even if you're Scottie Scheffler, who has no ties to the Minnesota Vikings, you have to be asked about that. That's what state we're in right now with the Minnesota Vikings. But yes, they played together. They played the front nine. I don't know how Kevin O'Connell shot. We'll have to ask him about that. Ask him if he's any good at golf. But nonetheless, those two had a good time yesterday from what it seemed like.
I don't think he has a ton of time for golf.
I was just talking to Rob about this earlier, and he said, I forgot what coach said, but if you have a good head coach at golf, then I'll show you a bad head coach on the field. And I totally agree. Yeah. Because if you're out there golfing for 8 hours a week, 8 times a week, you're to be a head coach.
Did somebody said that you can tell in a great league, right?
That's also level. It's like, just make sure I say something nice because I really don't know the guy. No, I'm just joking.
I
He
wonder
couldn't
how
admit
much
it.
they actually talked.
I'm sure, well, you're walking on the front nine, so you got about 2-3 hours to talk. So I'm sure they had several conversations, but I'm sure Kevin O'Connell kept it PG, didn't give him too much information, you know?
Yeah, didn't tell him who the quarterback's going to be.
Absolutely not.
Tell him who his favorite player is.
Right,
Who's
you know.
biggest pain? Who's the biggest pain in the butt on the team?
Yeah, he wouldn't disclose any of that information. I'm sure he would just smile and be like, they all are, I'm sure.
And Scotty Scheffler, you know those golfers are so professional. Well, Rory.
Some of them.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Some of them.
Yeah, Rory McIlroy loves to stir the pot, but
He does. He said he was bad at golf after a swing last week.
Scheffler's so professional. So
Yeah.
let's talk Lynx. Nafisa Collier returned yesterday. When we saw her in the post-game press conference, she said she felt like a kid in the candy store.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, think about it. She's had to watch the show, Olivia Miles, put on this dazzling performance each and every game and watch her team, who was supposed to struggle while she was out, supposed to be one of the worst teams in the WNBA. This, according to some, critics and, analytics people, things like that, analysts. But now she comes back. She has to watch her team win 21 games before she returns. She has to watch them be the #1 team in defensive efficiency and offensive efficiency. So she's watching all this like, they're doing really good without me. It's like FOMO, like I'm missing out on all the fun right now. Then she comes back, drops 24-10. They beat the Seattle Storm for the second game in a row. #1 team in the WNBA right now, and you just add back an MVP type caliber player. They're going to be good this year, Courtney. Like, I thought they would be good this year. I didn't think they would be this good.
They're 22-6.
It's all credit to Cheryl Reeve. I mean, you think about it, like you lost Alana Smith, she got $1 million contract. Natisha Heidemann, she got $1 million contract. Bridget Carlton got $1 million contract. Who else am I thinking of here that they lost last year? Alana, Bridget Carlton, Jessica Shepard got $1 million or a wealthy contract. So you're talking about 4 players very key to your team last year, and Dejanay Carrington. So 5 players leave your team, all go get $1 million contracts or close to it. You're thinking as a fan, there's no way we can just pick up where we left off, losing those 5 caliber players.
Yeah, they weren't taking Olivia Miles.
And yet here they are. Here they are right there. So it's Cheryl Reeve, what she's able to do, not only as the president of basketball operations, but the head coach, second to none. She's
kind of
amazing.
unheard of for a team with this record to get such a boost mid-season.
It does not happen like this.
Does not happen.
Normally, you're talking about the records reversed. Like, normally teams, when they lose their MVP type player, they will be 6-22 and then expected to make a big jump once that MVP type player comes back. But I mean, you're talking about an MVP type candidate and Olivia Miles, and maybe that's why maybe she is the reason why they have 22 wins. So yeah, credit to her and what the team has been able to do, and the best is yet to come.
She finished with 24 points yesterday. Not a bad
24 points,
start.
10 rebounds in her first game back, and she started the game 1 of 7. So to finish with 24 points after finishing 1 of 7 with only 2 points in the first half, pretty good.
Okay.
Pretty good.
The Twins, so they wrap up their 4-game series against Cleveland today.
Playing right now, yep.
Did they break a losing streak? Is that right?
They did. Just got back in the win column for the first time in what feels like forever. I think they had a 4-game losing streak. They were able to win. Look, I'll be honest with you. I said this to Rob. It may ruffle a few feathers for baseball fans, but let's be real. Twins probably aren't going to the playoffs. The owners don't care if they make the playoffs. And Vikings training camp starts next week. So the Twins kind of go on the back burner after that. Outside of Twins Tuesdays here at Fox 9. But after that, it's like, somebody's going to be like, what's the Twins score? Be like, the Twins play today? I'm sorry, preseason game's on Friday. That's what we're focused on right now. So, look, I say all that jokingly. It's a frustrating year for Twins fans because they've shown flashes of being good, and it just makes your mind wonder what would happen if the front office invested money in this team and invested resources. But they haven't. But yet these guys are still trying to defy the odds and make this a special season.
I think that's the frustrating thing is we have seen flashes, as you said, flashes of them being good. You know?
Yeah.
They beat the Yankees in New York. I mean,
I know. It's regular season.
we don't need the asterisks on it, but they did. But, I mean, I had to look up their record because I'm like, how bad are they? They're 50-53.
So not even that bad. Like they're hovering above right below the 500
They're
mark.
technically still in the running for a wild card.
They're only 3 games or 3 teams behind the second wild card spot. So it's like, it's obtainable. Like, people listening to me be a Debbie Downer right now about them, take it with a grain of salt. That's just me getting ready for football season. But there's still a chance for this team. And you think about what they're doing right now without Royce Lewis, like, who has not had a good year. Like, your only consistent production at the plate, I feel like, maybe a Cody Clemens and a Byron Buxton. So just imagine if you could get your superstar in Royce Lewis to play up to his potential. They may go from being 3 games under 500 to 3 games over 500. So it's still a chance they make the playoffs, but a very, very slim chance, Courtney.
You want to turn this into a gossip program?
I mean, we can, I'm just saying.
You hear about Anthony Edwards?
I did hear about Anthony Edwards.
The man got married.
And I did see that. It was funny because I was speaking with Simone, my fiance, over the weekend, and I saw a ring on his hand. I said, did Ant get married? But I'm like, I'm not one to tweet out other people's relationship stuff. I don't care. I'm not doing that digging. I don't care if he's married or not.
Right.
But then she saw a report last night at midnight that said somebody dug up the marriage license.
Isn't that amazing?
Crazy how people can go find that.
That we care enough that we
One, I don't care about that. She was reading that story to me last night, and I'm like, I'm into it because she's talking to me, but I'm just like, who cares to go do something like that?
Okay, but Ahmad, you know what I love?
What?
His wife is 12 years older than him.
She is?
I kind of dig that. Like, he's into the older ladies. I kind of dig that.
Oh my God. I don't know.
Timberwolves to Cougar? I don't know.
I don't know. He's yeah. She's
younger than me, so I can't call her a Cougar, I guess.
But she's cool. If you watch the Netflix Starting Five show that they had a couple years ago, he talked a lot about her being more than his partner, like, in that she was his best friend. She was there when, he's at the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. They have a daughter together that he calls, I think her nickname is Ladybug and things like that. Anthony Edwards is a very, very private individual. You will not break into his inner circle. I've been trying for 3 years now. Like, you just don't get into his inner circle, his best friend group, none of them around them. So it's like, to find out information like this and to verify it, going to be very hard. You would have to get it from the source himself, and I'm pretty sure he's not entertaining any of those conversations once the season rolls around. He'll probably play it down, but
I was fascinated to see that they filed in Hennepin County. Like, I would think they'd be out of here, but
that's where they live. I mean, Ant has pretty much made it clear that, like, this is his home. He loves Minnesota. He trains basketball, like, all year round here when he's not in Miami or back home in Atlanta. So they hang out. He just bought a multi-million-dollar mansion a couple years ago on the Netflix show. So it's like, this is home for him. His lady lives there, as he calls her, his old lady. It's not calling her old. That's just a term, little slang term in our community. But it's like my old lady. So it's like, yeah. So that's his lady. He said it after games before, where he's about to do an interview and he's telling his entourage, like, hey, go find my old lady real fast, So it's like, he clearly loves her and what she's able to do for him behind closed doors. So you're happy, he's happy, and hopefully he's happy enough to stick around in the Twin Cities for another 10 to 15 more years.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, Ahmad Hicks, thanks for doing TMZ
with the gossip.
Minnesota.
Yeah, I feel like I'm on an episode of Housewives doing a confessional right now.
Why not? Why not?
That's Simone's show. I don't watch that, by the way.
No shame in that game, okay?
It is for me. That is not my cup of tea. It's just scripted drama, but, we'll save that combo for another day.
Then you sound like my husband. He's like, why do you watch this trash?
I mean, literally, I tell Simone all the time, it's like we're just sitting down to go watch people sit in a setting like this and gossip and argue, and then they go out to dinner with 7 other women, and then they continue that same conversation. Then they have a trip where they continue those same conversations, and it's like,
it's really horrible.
Why are we addicted to drama?
Yeah, it's really horrible.
Andy Cohen, though, shout out to him. He's from St. Louis. He's made a lifestyle. He's living it right now, but I am not helping support him. I'll say that.
Okay.
Okay.
Ahmad Hicks, we win everywhere today.
We don't like Housewives. That's what I'm saying. I don't like Housewives. She does. I don't.
I do. Guilty pleasures. All right. Thanks, Ahmad.
No problem.
We're going to go to break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Our next guest's name is Ryan, which is appropriate because Ryans are about to take over Minnesota this weekend. That's right, they're doing a Ryan weekend. They're all going to go and ride the Ryan coaster at the Mall of America tomorrow. Apparently, they've got like 8,000 people or something, or no, maybe 800.
Isn't there a significant Ryan in your life too?
Yes, my husband's name is Ryan. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, apparently, the only person that was able to do an interview earlier today, just because of his name, purely because of his name, was All Day's very own Ryan Rablin.
Yes, producer Ryan Rablin did this interview for us. I think he interviewed the organizer of this Ryan weekend. Should we take a watch? Let's roll that now.
So calling all Ryans, because this weekend, Ryans, like myself, are taking over the Twin Cities. And to tell us all about it, we are going to bring in Ryan Fisher with Ryan Meetup, who is one of the Ryans who's behind all this. Ryan, thanks for joining us.
Ryan, it's great to be here. Thank you for having me. And there's nothing better than talking about Ryan Meetup with another Ryan.
I agree. So I had to do this. I am the only Ryan who works at Fox 9. We do have a man here with a last name of Ryan, but I understand he would not be qualified for this weekend with a last name of Ryan.
We do, so Joe Ryan is lined up to pitch Saturday, so we're kind of excited about that. So we're excited for Ryan to pitch. How about that?
That's pretty great. So let's back up. How did this all start? I imagine it was a couple Ryans who got together and said, what if we just did this but had more Ryans?
Yeah, I mean, Ryan Meetup dates back to 2023 with one Ryan in New York City who was looking to form a new community. And she had this crazy idea to hang up a poster in her neighborhood that says, is your name Ryan? Do you want to meet other Ryans? Two Ryans saw the poster. They got together at the time and designated place and hit it off and decided, let's see where this can go. And maybe someday break the world record for the largest same name gathering. Along the way, 3 years later, we've been having Ryan meetups all over the country, in Canada. And that brings us to the Twin Cities this weekend for our first ever Ryan meetup in this neck of the woods, and we couldn't be more excited about it.
Okay, Ryan, so tell us, what is happening this weekend? And we'll start with the events that are taking place tomorrow night at the Mall of America.
Yes, so tomorrow night, the event is called Ride the Ryan Coaster. The Mall of America has been amazing to Ryan Meetup. They are closing down the Pepsi Orange Street Coaster exclusively for Ryans. Currently, we have more than 800 Ryans RSVP'd to come to the Huntington Bank Rotunda, which is being renamed the Rytunda. And we're going to gather all the Ryans there, and everyone's going to start meeting other Ryans. And then we're going to all march over to the coaster and ride one train of Ryans after another, until every Ryan's had a chance to ride the coaster. And along the way, we did a little test run this morning, and we had 17 Ryans. And if that's any indication of what's going to happen tomorrow night, the mall has never seen anything like it. So that's tomorrow. And then we're going to have an after party upstairs.
This is like a dream come true for me. I mean, this is like finally an exclusive party that I'm able to get into. Probably the first one ever. So you're trying to set a record for Ryans to ride this roller coaster. Do we know the current record for Ryans who have rode on the same roller coaster, or?
That's the best thing. There is no record. So we're going to establish that record.
Excellent. And so, okay, so the Mall of America, obviously a big venue. This isn't just like a bunch of Ryans meeting up at the local watering hole, but it doesn't stop there. Saturday, there are more events, and this involves the Minnesota Twins.
Yes. So Saturday is going to be an incredible day, start to finish, over at Target Field. First, at noon, all the Ryans are invited, and their friends and family as well, to Cowboy Jack's across the street from Target Field, which is being officially renamed Cowboy Ryans for the day, because we can't have a Ryan meetup at a place called Jack's. So we're going to have a 4-hour pregame party with all sorts of games. Ryan can come, and every Ryan can come and get their face painted, their body painted, make signs, go Ryan, whatever they want. So that's going to be from 12 to 4. Then at 4 o'clock, we're all going to leave and march over to Target Field, where Ryans who ordered tickets through Ryan Meetup will get a Ryan Baseball Classic t-shirt. The event is called the Ryan Baseball Classic, by the way. And then we have I think we're up to 6 sections at Target Field that will be full of Ryans and their Ryan friends and family. So Joe Ryan's pitching. We're hoping Ryan Jeffers catches. Ryan Filer plays shortstop. Derek Shelton is well aware of Ryan Meetup, and he's on the record about a few weeks ago saying, "Someone please remind me to start all the Ryans." So we're going to hold him to it.
I love that the Twins manager is involved in this, and it will may possibly alter the way he makes the lineup. So that is great. When you guys think of these, do you think big? I mean, this is big. This isn't just like, let's go to Minneapolis and meet up. You're thinking Mall of America, Target Field. Is there ever a point where you're thinking people might not play ball with this, or what goes through that process?
Sure, it's been an incredible, amazing journey. Again, Ryan Meetup started at a little bar with 3 Ryans, and then it grew to 20 Ryans, and then it grew to 100 Ryans, and then there was a Ryan rave in Los Angeles that had about 600 Ryans, and we've had events of all sizes all over. We really never have expectations anymore as to how many Ryans are going to show up. Honestly, Minnesota, the Twin Cities have already surpassed all expectations in the best way. And we have Ryans traveling from last count 36 states in Canada. Alaska is one of those states. All to come to Minnesota to be with the Ryans starting tomorrow.
So this is kind of an international event, would you say?
Absolutely. And every time we announce something, we get flooded with comments, and great ones. Tons of Ryans in the UK, in Ireland, in Australia, in New Zealand, in Indonesia, in the Philippines. There are Ryans all over the world. When are you going to bring Ryan Meetup to us? And we're working on it, we promise.
I love it. And what is next for Ryan Meetup? Is there, after Minneapolis, where does the tour stop next?
We don't know. We have some ideas in the works, and announcements will be coming soon. I promise when they do come, they will be pretty big. Can't release anything just yet, but their Ryan Meetup is not stopping, that's for sure.
Excellent. Ryan Fisher with Ryan Meetup. Thank you so much for joining this. This is a weekend made for us. So excited that you guys are here in Minneapolis. And if your name is Ryan, that's the other thing. If your name is Ryan and you're just finding out about this, can they just come on down, all Ryans?
Absolutely. I was just going to say, any Ryan or anyone who knows RyanMeetup.com. Please go to the website. You can get all the information and RSVP to everything happening this weekend. I failed to mention Sunday, we're taking a road trip to Ryan, Iowa.
Oh.
It is an actual town in Iowa, population 350, about 4 hours from the Twin Cities. We have a live band with Ryan who's going to perform. We're going to take a tour of Ryan, Iowa. And so it's a triple header Ryan Meetup weekend.
Any thoughts of getting like a Ryan Reynolds or a Ryan Gosling involved in this? Do they know about it?
Ryan Reynolds actually is the recipient. So a month ago, we had Copa del Ryan in New York City. And long story, but Lamine Yamal once called himself Ryan. And so we had Ryan jerseys. Ryan Reynolds now owns one of those Ryan Spain national team World Cup champion jerseys. So word is out.
It just keeps getting better. Ryan Fisher, thank you so much for joining us, and have fun this weekend.
Thank you so much, Ryan.
Okay, Ryan's taking over the Twin Cities this weekend. Like he said, on Friday, 800 individuals named Ryan are showing up to the Mall of America to ride the Ryan Coaster. Saturday, they take over downtown Minneapolis. They'll be at Cowboy Jack's. They're renaming it temporarily Cowboy Ryan's. And then they're going to take over Target Field for the Twins game, where they currently have 6 sections of Ryans registered to go to the game. And then he also mentioned they're going to drive to Ryan, Iowa for a little Ryan get-together as well. So it's appropriate that our next guest's name is Ryan. We're talking prediction markets. So come August 1st, Minnesota will become the first state to ban prediction markets. Covers.com senior news analyst Ryan Butler joins us now to talk about what this means. Ryan, thanks for coming back on the show.
Yeah, actually, I was hoping to talk more about the Ryan meetup, but this is good too.
We can talk about the Ryan meetup as well. I mean, your name is Ryan, so we we're in TV news. We love a good segue.
Right.
Let's talk about prediction markets, though. First of all, can you just explain for our viewers who maybe are just catching on to this, what is a prediction market?
Yeah, a prediction market is what we're looking at right now, the overall thing that might be Kalshi or Polymarket, two of the biggest brands you've heard of. Prediction market is a digital platform where you can trade anything as they promote. And this includes what they call event contracts. It could be on the weather, it can be on political elections, it can be on album sales, Spotify streams, it can be on almost anything. And a lot of this comes in from sports, though, as well. You can trade contracts on will the Twins win? Will the Vikings win the Super Bowl? Which you might not want to trade that one. But you can trade on basically anything going on with it. And it's caused a lot of controversy where these prediction markets phrase themselves similarly the way you would look at a Robinhood or a Coinbase or something else, where they look at it almost like buying and selling stocks. And when there's a lot of entities, including Minnesota's tribal casinos, including much of the regulated gambling industry that is seeing these as more like a form of gambling that isn't licensed. And typically it's licensed by the states. Here in Minnesota, where there is no sports betting, there's a lot of concern specifically around these sports event contracts on these prediction markets.
All right, come August 1st, Minnesota is poised to become the first state to ban these prediction markets. The law is supposed to go into effect August 1st. What will happen August 1st, pending any, litigation?
Well, that's actually the bigger question, is the litigation that's pending. So this bill was signed into law in May, and immediately, almost 24 hours later, the CFTC, which is the federal government body that regulates these prediction markets, filed a lawsuit in Minnesota to stop that from taking effect on August 1st. So we've already had a preliminary court hearing. The judge said they are going, she plans to rule shortly. We're not exactly sure if that means that that ruling will come in time for the August 1st deadline. Ideally, both parties would like to see this, but that's the big question. If the ruling goes in the prediction market's favor, then this bill will not be able to take effect. Prediction markets, which are still trading and still available in Minnesota, will continue. Users are still able to use this Kalshi Polymarket, as well as DraftKings and FanDuel in Minnesota have specific types of prediction markets, which are separate than their sportsbook apps. All of those will continue to operate. If the ruling goes against these prediction markets, then those will have to cease operations immediately. We've seen this in Nevada. We've seen this also in a couple other states where judges have ruled to implement these preliminary injunctions as further court rulings go, and they'll have to stop operations in the state.
Okay, but we're a week away. If a judge doesn't make a decision before August 1st, what happens? Does the law go into effect?
So that is the million-dollar question, right? The law would technically go into effect from everything we have with it, and then could retroactively be denied, and then you could be stopped, and then the prediction markets would have to leave. Now, if they stay, then they could face greater consequences. They could face future punishments. There is a lot of kind of some teeth to this law in Minnesota, and it's a big question. Though we're going to be watching eagerly to see. Do they blink? Do they continue operating? Do they continue arguing, as they have in court and across the nation, that this is actually just a federal issue? The states have no authority. It's going to be a big question, and we actually just at this moment don't know what the plan will be.
I have to imagine a lot of people are watching what happens with this court case, with this challenge to this new law. Will it set a precedent? Whatever the decision is, will it set a precedent for other states?
Possibly, it can add on to others. What we've seen is splits all over the place. We've seen some states that have ruled in favor of the prediction markets. We've seen some states that have ruled against them. We've seen some federal appeals courts that have ruled for and against these prediction markets, depending on where you are. So what we're looking at is a very divided state-by-state approach to this, causing a lot of concern and chaos as we go forward. And everyone on both sides of this issue believe that we're heading to the Supreme Court. We could see a decision as early as a year from now. It could be 2 years from now. But because of all the different conflicting views, the different court rulings in different states, and different appeals courts, this is causing chaos. And ultimately, looks like we're going to need one final court, the Supreme Court, to decide this. In the meantime, in Minnesota, yeah, it's an important step. It's another field on the battlefront, proverbially, as we go forward with it. But again, it's just one more piece on a very complex moving board that's really impacting all 50 states.
All right, for a little while here, for my next couple of questions, let's just pretend like the law does go into effect August 1st, that we don't have a decision by the court, the law goes into effect. Could this push users to unregulated or offshore platforms, this ban? I mean, is that even possible? If you're in Minnesota, you're a Minnesotan, would you still be able to do this? I don't know, you use a VPN, something like that?
Yeah, and to clarify too, it is your state of physical location, not your state of residency. But yes, so if you are in Minnesota, you would, let's say these go into effect, Kalshi, Polymarket, all of them leave, they follow that. Those aren't available anymore. One option is you could cross state lines. You could try to do it there. You could use these twice. Or there is literally hundreds of illegal offshore sites, many which are seemingly indistinguishable from the legal regulated sites. And a lot of people are confused. And I look at a lot of these sites even advertise on radio shows, podcasts, even sometimes online mainstream media. So it's very confusing. So there are options. That is one of the biggest concerns here. There is that people are going to find alternatives. Like you said, there are VPNs, which can be, varying degrees of effective, but there's always going to be interest there. We've seen this too, where Minnesota is one of the last states that has no forms of legal sports betting. We see this all the time where people are looking for workarounds. They're looking for these unlicensed sites. So that is absolutely a concern, though. So you might not be able to use those major brands that people are familiar with. There are options, though those are technically illegal and they don't offer consumer and player protections that we see from the regulated market in both the sports books, more especially. Then there is as well the Kalshis and Polymarkets are regulated by the federal government, and there are certain standards they have to meet. These other sites, these different companies that are based offshore, based in different countries, you have that, and you might not get paid if you play with them. There's a lot of concerns there too, and that's one of the issues we're facing.
After August 1st, if a Minnesotan goes and makes a prediction market trade, could they be penalized? Do you see that happening?
So this won't go after the individual. This is entirely after the corporate perspective of it. So there's no fear there with it. There's not concern about it. I would, avoid it personally. I highly recommend against using any site that's illegal, even in the state, if the law is passed with it. Try to avoid those again, because there's not consent. If there is an issue, if there's a concern, if your money isn't coming back, there's no repercussions. Whereas in a state with legal gaming, or even the prediction markets themselves like Kalshi, there are restitutions, there are resources. So yeah, unfortunately, if you're in Minnesota, these paths do not use. I would highly recommend against using a prediction market, against using an online sports book. You have to go down to Iowa where these are legal, or somewhere else. And in the meantime, it's just a kind of a frustrating thing where Minnesotans don't have a legal avenue to bet beyond maybe in person at a casino.
Is there any benefit to our states on the border? I think about because sports betting, you brought up sports betting. Sports betting is not legal in Minnesota. A lot of people cross, state lines to do that. Is there then a benefit to the states around us where it is still legal? Do the states get a cut?
Yes, exactly. It's based entirely off of the state you're in, not the state you live in. So if you did travel to Iowa, for example, that's the Iowa tax dollars that go in there. For every bet the sportsbook wins, every sportsbook bet that you lose, that's tax money that goes to Iowa. And if you were in Wisconsin, which doesn't have online, but you can bet in person at the sportsbooks at their tribal casinos, that's money that's going there. So that is absolutely one of them. The Twin Cities aren't a border town necessarily, like we saw originally when New Jersey was one of the first states to legalize sports betting. New York did not. We saw that all the time. There was anecdotal evidence of people telling their interns to go to New Jersey and place bets for them. We saw that. So while it's not a terrible drive, it's not as big. We saw a bigger thing down in Missouri, where St. Louis and Kansas City, those borders towns that completely intertwine with it. So it's not as big a deal in the greater Twin Cities area, but there are people who are willing to make that drive over, and it is not a huge boon, but it is a boon to the neighboring states.
So for those who use these prediction markets right now, what do you think the biggest thing they should know is as we approach August 1st?
Yeah, just be aware that August 1st, this could take effect and that you might not be able to access it. I would not, they are going to be able to have your funds available, even if they are banned from operating in the state. So I wouldn't have to freak out about that. You might want to withdraw ahead of time, just to extra precaution that you're not, that they're not going away. It would be a temporary thing and your money is safe with it. But just be aware that you don't, August 1st, be prepared that might not work. You will now, though, again, if you need to, you can go to one of those other states. It's not your state of residence. Can't stress that enough. It is the state where you're physically located. So you could make that drive over if you wanted to trade with it. But it is, I understand, it's a difficult legal question about the nature of gambling. And this is why this is likely going to the Supreme Court. There's a really strong question. What constitutes gambling? Is stock trading gambling? Is these day trades gambling? All this is a big question. But in the meantime, there are a lot of Minnesotans who are enjoying this product. It is legal now, and I can understand the frustration that if this does take effect and they're not going to be able to use these platforms anymore, even if it might be the right thing to do by the letter of the law.
But it does sound like you think that if a decision isn't made by the courts before August 1st, the ban will go into effect.
Yes, it would legally go into effect. Again, now the platforms would have the ability to not adhered to it, it is possible. They could just say, well, this law, we don't have to listen to it because we're only by the federal. They have adhered, though, to other bans and other court injunctions. They did this in Nevada. There's some other states that are pursuing it or done it as well. So I would expect them to adhere to it. They do want to be regulated. They have everything with it, but it's just a possibility. It's one more, again, a very complex, esoteric legal battle about the nature of gambling, and it's going to be a very long, ongoing one, and here in Minnesota and again across the country.
So interesting. Really appreciate you joining us again. Ryan Butler, he's a senior news analyst with Covers.com. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, happy to be here. Thank you.
All right. As Ryan summarized there, come August 1st, Minnesota will become the first state to ban prediction markets. But of course, there has been a lawsuit filed to try and fight that. So we'll see what happens. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back after this. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us on this lovely Thursday afternoon. Some breaking news this afternoon after wildfires have continued raging across northern Minnesota and the boundary waters were closed. Just today, the U.S. Forest Service announced that Boundary Waters day use permits will open at select Cook County entry points this Monday. Overnight permits remain canceled through next Wednesday when they will reevaluate. But permits for select points of entry in Cook County will start on Monday. They're open for day use only. And they said that they're going to reevaluate overnight use come Wednesday. And they are, of course, warning individuals that if you do plan to visit the Boundary Waters, there are still active fires burning throughout the Boundary Waters canoe area. So they just ask that travelers have a travel plan and that they're aware of the current situation And then their plans are shared with family and friends, that they know weather conditions, know fire conditions, know before you go. In other news out of northern Minnesota, the Arrowhead region today, the Lake County Sheriff's Office will be allowing property owners impacted by the Camp Fire to access their properties today. So these are individuals who were in the evacuation zones and have not had access to their homes in several days. They are being allowed in with an escort by the Lake County Sheriff's Office to grab any belongings that maybe they left behind and they wanted to get. All right. In other news today, the man who shot and killed Minnesota House Speaker Melissa Hortman and her husband Mark has been sentenced. He will spend the rest of his life in prison. A federal judge today sentenced 59-year-old Vance Bolter to 2 life sentences plus 40 years after he accepted a plea deal related to the killings. The Hortmans' family, as well as Senator John Hoffman and his family, were in attendance and provided victim impact statements. And a police shooting in Madison, Wisconsin is under investigation after officers fatally shot a man during an attempted arrest yesterday. Police say the man injured an officer with a knife during a struggle after reports he was trying to break into parked cars. Cell phone video of the shooting has sparked protests, and the Wisconsin Department of Justice is now leading an independent investigation. Well, if you're planning to hit the lake at all in the next couple of days, you need to check before you go, because several Twin Cities beaches are closed due to E. coli levels. Officials are saying that this is likely caused by recent rain and, of course, that extreme heat. Officials say that beaches will reopen once follow-up tests show that the water is safe. You can find the latest beach closure updates usually on your county website. They usually have a water quality map. Hennepin County, Ramsey County have that. But there's also a great site that I like to use, mnbeaches.org, and they usually have the very latest about the closures. And the first round of the 3M Open is underway right now at TPC Twin Cities in Blaine. World number 1, Scotty Scheffler, of course, is making his tournament debut. Big news for Twin Cities golf fans, as you can go watch Scheffler play. He joins defending champion Kurt Kitayama as players battle for one of the final spots in the FedEx Cup playoffs. The tournament, of course, runs through Sunday. I want to share this other kind of fun story. Minnesota maybe, Minnesota nice is maybe more than a saying. A new ranking names Minnesota the friendliest state in America, pointing to things like community engagement, kindness, and neighborly behavior. The study says Minnesotans' reputation for helping others help push the state to the top spot. My executive producer, Paul Milgate, I know you're a transplant. You haven't been here for too long, just a few years. Mm-hmm. Do you think they deserve this? Do you think Minnesota deserves to be number 1?
I absolutely do think that Minnesota deserves to be number 1. I know that there's a lot of questions about Minnesota nice is actually Minnesota passive aggressive. I know people say that. But when I first came to Minnesota, I was like, you know what, this place actually reminds me, like the vibe, reminds me of Australia. Everyone's kind of relaxed, everyone's nice, everyone's friendly, people will go out of their way. But you're not actually from here, are you, Courtney?
I'm not. I'm from California.
And where did they rank on the list?
Oh, man. California was down there. I think
it was 40th.
Yep, 40th. Oh.
Yeah, so not so great for your home state.
Do you know who number 2 was? Number 2 was Tennessee.
It was where our lovely producer Grace Henry grew up, down in Tennessee. Nice.
I'm not surprised by that. I spent a couple years in the South. I worked in Kentucky, which is the state just above Tennessee, and that Southern charm and just I would be on the scene as a reporter of some horrible tragedy, and the people in the neighborhood were so kind. It's like people were inviting me into their homes to get out of the heat, offering me sweet tea.
Yeah.
Just so friendly. So I'm not surprised to see that Tennessee was number 2.
Yeah.
I think Minnesota deserves it. It can be tough here for transplants. I really struggled my first couple years in Minnesota because I did experience that Minnesota nice where people would be really nice to you and kind. But as soon as it came to like inviting you into their homes, the wall went up, So, but once I found my people, I just love it here. And Sorry, I know my dad is watching and they would love to see us come home to California, but I think we're here for good. I really love it here. I think the people are lovely. So I think Minnesota deserves the #1 spot.
You know who probably can give us a little bit more perspective as a brand new transplant? Erica Mrazek.
Erica is a brand new transplant. That's right. Meteorologist Erica Mrazek joins us now. Erica, I don't know if you've been listening in, but what do you think? Do you think Minnesota deserves the top spot for nicest state?
I think it does. I would say it's true. I have not met a single mean person yet here, and everyone is just so helpful and welcoming. And I also think the Midwest in general is a very nice area. I've only lived here and in Ohio, but Ohio's also the vibes are similar, you know?
Yes, I agree. The Midwest breeds really kind people. I think the South and the Midwest. Let me tell you who I think should have been at the bottom of the list. I have never in my life met a kind person from Massachusetts.
Yeah, I feel like the Northeast, sometimes I feel like the hustle and bustle, you know, makes people not as friendly, maybe because they're just so, worried about doing what they got to get done or something. I don't know.
So apparently New York was the worst. So New York is the least kind state. That kind of fits too.
And I feel like that's been a thing for a while too. Like I feel like even when I was younger, people would be like, "Oh, New Yorkers are mean."
They're they're very harsh. They're very blunt. I appreciate the bluntness, but they can be a little harsh. That is true.
Yeah, but they will always help you get with directions, because when I went through when I was younger, my mom and I would be like trying to figure out the subway, and then some random person would be like, "Oh, are you guys trying to get somewhere?" Because my mom would have her map out, and I would always be embarrassed. But they were helpful with that, which was really nice. So I was like, they don't seem that mean.
Well, and speaking of nice, the weather outside is pretty nice, and it's going to get hot again pretty soon.
The weather is super nice today. Lots of sunshine. Temperatures are amazingly comfortable. It is a touch warmer than yesterday. Some may even call yesterday a little bit on the cool side. But today is just beautiful. Area of high pressure sitting off towards the east. That's bringing the sunshine. There's a wind from the south. So that's why it's a touch warmer today than it was yesterday, because yesterday the wind was from the north. So a shift in that breeze, picking the temperatures up to highs, perhaps in the 80s for some today. So overall, not a drop of rain. There are just a few clouds south and west from a system further southwest. Not going to bring any showers here, but allowing for a little bit more cloud coverage for places closer to Iowa. And overall, it is just beautiful over White Bear Lake. There's barely any clouds, just a couple thin, high clouds. So far today reached 78 degrees. Typically it's 84, so still below average. Dew points are really mild, and temperatures are going to start to pick up into tomorrow. But across the board right now, still almost all 70s, 80 for Brainerd, and then it is a little bit cooler up in the Arrowhead, where temperatures are in the 60s and 50s at 59 now in Grand Marais. And then because the dew points are really comfortable, the breeze is light, the feels like temperature matches the air temperature, so it's not like it's super humid or anything for today, but the dew points will be picking up into tomorrow, as well as the temperatures. So sunny warm today, tomorrow also going to be pretty sunny warm, but the heat wave is going to be here for the weekend. And then also, before we get to the weekend, there is the chance for a few showers and perhaps some thunderstorms in northern Minnesota. That's going to be late tomorrow, so think afternoon, evening time frame, and a level 2 out of 5 risk for some strong storms possibly. So that's just well up north, not for the metro or places south, but just something to keep in mind. And then into the weekend, it's going to be hot again, another heat wave. So more highs in the 90s starting on Saturday. That continues through Sunday, and then even into the start of next week. So another long stretch of above normal temperatures. And then also, Courtney, there could perhaps be a chance for a couple showers and isolated rumbles of thunder Sunday, but still a little bit far out, so details to come on that. But overall, just expect a warming trend over the next few days.
All right, Erica Mrazek, thanks so much. So appreciate you. All right, we'll have Erica back in the next hour to fill us in on that hot weekend yet again. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back after this. Oh, got a little reminder in my ear. You know, the voices in my head, they're going again. We want you to chime in on fox9.com/all-day. We want to hear what you think. Do you think Minnesota's the friendliest state? You heard us chatting about it. Do you think Minnesota deserves that top spot for friendliest state? But also maybe send us a photo of how you're enjoying the weather today. Erica shared that it's an absolutely beautiful day outside. Send us a picture. Show us what you're doing. It might just make the air here. So we love to get that viewer engagement. So fox9.com/all-day. All right, now I can send it to break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. While wildfires continue to burn up in northern Minnesota, businesses up there have really taken a hit, some even having to evacuate. Moose Lake is a popular wilderness destination located off Fernburg Road. It's one of those evacuation zones. It's also home to Latterell's Resort on Moose Lake. Bob Latterell joins me now. Bob, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
So what's your status right now? It sounds like you were in an evacuation zone. Where do things stand now?
Yeah, we are still evacuated in our area. We've been able to go back there, including today. They've let us check on the place and so forth. I mean, conditions out there look like there's nothing to worry about. There hasn't really been any smoke for a few days, and conditions look good, but you know, that was a little different. The first day it got ramped up.
You were able to go back today along with thousands of others who are in the evacuation go zone, as they call it. You had to go in with accompanied by a Lake County Sheriff's deputy. What was that like, being able to go back to your resort?
Yes, we were able to a couple other times be back there because of some other evacuations. We were trying to get everybody out of the wilderness, and I guess by the term evacuations, it was pretty calm after the first night where we got the folks out of the most affected areas, and then it was just kind of an orderly getting folks out. So even during the evacuation, we were there for a while. But yeah, it's never a good thing when they tell you you have to be out of your home, and so yeah, right now we're located in Ely itself, and yeah, just waiting to be able to get back there.
Okay, so you're in Ely right now. Are you able to still run some of your business even though you can't be at your permanent location?
Other than speaking to our customers, and that's really keeping us very busy, trying to tell them information about what's going on and so forth. That's keeping us very busy. But in terms of actual business and doing trips and so forth, that is all totally shut down at this point.
What's that like for you guys? I mean, this is high season in the Arrowhead region. Summer is when I'm sure you make most of your money. So what kind of a hit has this been?
Yeah, that's definitely a thing that's a concern for everybody in this business right now. At first we're just kind of going through the procedures of everything, helping get our folks back out from the camping areas back out to civilization, as it were. And but since then, now we're starting to, some of the realization of how long this has been already and how long it could be. But we're hopeful with the conditions. I am really happy with the conditions out here. We, again, have had very little smoke the last 5 days, a little bit of moisture. They are concerned about things drying out again, as we're in a pattern where we might have some drier conditions, although tomorrow night looks like we're going to have some good rain. And we're just hoping for the best and hoping to get back to business as quickly as possible. But it definitely isn't a good deal when you're shut down for more than a few days. That does start to add up, yes.
Yeah, and I'm sure those cancellations are hitting hard too. And so we always try to remind people, hey, it is blue skies. The air quality is good again. There's plenty to explore in the area. Everybody up there still needs the business. They did announce today that the Boundary Waters will slowly begin to reopen. They're reopening some entry points in Cook County just for day passes, but your reaction to that news?
Yeah, that's something the first closure that we had, that I kind of wrote a message into the Forest Service to keep that in mind. And there's some tools in their toolbox that can help us, survive through this, whereas they still meet some of their objectives of being safe and that type of thing. And we're more than willing to work with things that we can, do to allow some of our guests to experience what they're looking to do, but still meeting the guidelines that the authorities are needing to meet as well. But I do think there is some room to have some things happen here to allow that.
I know that you own a lodge, but you're also an outfitter. Is there any opportunity here to pivot? I'm thinking, in the U.S., in the Superior National Forest, there's plenty of beautiful lakes, portage opportunities, hikes that people can do, and it looks pretty similar to the Boundary Waters. It's just technically Superior National Forest. And then with the news that some of these entry points are opening, has there been any opportunity to pivot your business a little bit?
For us, not so far, just because we're still in an evacuation zone and all of our things that we need to do that are located there. But there may be an opportunity to do some of that later on. There are some spots that we have access to do that. However, again, nothing is like the access that we have to the other areas that everybody is really looking forward to getting back to as soon as possible.
Yeah, they're talking possibly middle of next week. They'll reevaluate those overnight permits. Would that really help you guys out if they started issuing overnight permits again?
Yeah, definitely. We're looking forward to that and hope conditions continue to improve like they have. And again, we've got lots of really good resources on things here with all the staff that they've got on these fires and fighting those fires. And they've done a great job so far, because just looking out our windows, we can tell things are much better than they were. And we're hoping that continues. And definitely we are looking forward to getting back to going as quickly as we can. And so are our customers. And like I said, we've been busy talking to many of them, and we're hoping that we're able to get them back out here as soon as possible.
I'm curious what it looks like when you go back and visit. You're in an evacuation zone there in the Fernburg, off Fernburg Road. But what does it look like besides, not seeing many people around? I'm curious, what the sights and sounds of that evacuation area are.
Yeah, I mean, it is a little bit different that, there's usually we're busy with customers all day and dealing with them and helping them get out there. And yeah, when we're out there, we're just kind of doing some work on the docks, making sure the boats are in place and so forth. And it's, yeah, very quiet. Although, like I said, you look out on the skyline and everything looks very normal. So not having anybody there to be heading out is a little bit different.
When customers are calling, what are the majority of the calls about?
Just basically trying to get information, and that's our biggest need right now as well from the authorities. Is the more information we have, even if it's bad, we at least have information that we can provide to our customers, and that allows people to plan, because the unknown is almost as bad as the bad news. And yeah, we're hoping just to keep those communication lines open, and so we're able to communicate that with folks, and then they can make informed decisions rather than uninformed decisions or decisions that are based on false news and so forth. For example, you probably had some news of it here where they are set to be closed until October. Well, the way the paperwork works for the Forest Service, they have their closure order that, the way I understand it, it authorizes them, and they file that paper that it's okay to be closed through October. They have that authority. But within that closure order, there's definitely going to be times where they open things up way sooner than that. So trying to get that misinformation off the streets is important right now.
Yeah, some news outlets had to backtrack there on that one. Yesterday, It came out that there was possibly going to be a closure through October 1st, and that was just a misreading of the documents. Thankfully, today we heard they are opening up some of those entry points starting Monday.
Exactly.
If there's anything you want people to know, I mean, what's the big message that you want people to hear from up there in Ely?
Yeah, obviously we're all ready here for folks to get back, and I just stay abreast of what the real conditions are and what is actually being said, rather than some of the doom and gloom. We're going to be close till October type of statements. We're hoping conditions make it possible to get back here, and obviously everybody in Ely will have their arms wide open and welcoming everybody back as soon as that's possible.
I'm sure you will. And all the photos I see out of there, it looks blue skies and beautiful. So hopefully the firefighters just continue to have weather on their side and they can get this under control. I know that all the businesses up there would love that. Bob Latterell, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Bob Latterell from Latterell's Resort on Moose Lake up there off of Fernberg Road. It's in one of the evacuation zones, so they're currently closed. But looking forward to hopefully getting some good news soon. We're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we'll tackle some more news. Stay with us. welcome back. Just 2 months after Allegiant Airlines completed its acquisition of Minnesota-based Sun Country, the airline is making its first major schedule adjustment. Sun Country is cutting about 350 flights from Minneapolis-St. Paul International Airport in September, eliminating about 1/3 of its departures during what's traditionally one of the slowest travel months of the year. We wanted to learn more about this, so we brought in John Muller from Slick Trip Travel. John, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so what's going on here? I mean, 348 flights, that's a lot of flights to cancel.
That's a lot of flights. Yeah, so essentially when you have these mergers, what you're going to get is a consolidation of flight routes. And it's pretty standard. It doesn't happen very often when you have these large mergers, but you're going to end up losing a lot of flights. Unfortunately, that's the name of the game, and the reason why they're merging is because there's probably an overage of routes anyways, and they're just trying to kind of make it a little bit more efficient and sometimes take over the routes, sometimes delete routes, which is what we're seeing right here.
Well, this is exactly what everyone feared when we talk about airline consolidation, because you see less flights, you might see prices go up. What do you see when this happens?
So that's literally exactly what we see. The prices get cut. It's a supply and demand issue. It did not help when Spirit went bankrupt either. So it cut out some more low-cost airlines with a lot of routes. So what you're going to see now between flight prices going up in general, with the inflation numbers going up when it comes to oil, when it comes to general inflation. But now when you start cutting out routes and you have more demand than you do have supply, it's just basic economics when it comes to the airline industry, and they're going to really try to squeeze out as much as possible. So you're going to see rising prices and additional fees, unfortunately, added on to the routes that are already set right now.
How can this continue long term? I mean, when we have 5 major airlines, I mean, maybe not even 5, I'm thinking of 3 off the top of my head, right, in this country. I mean, how can this continue like this? It seems like consumers are just gonna really suffer.
Yeah, it's a very difficult situation, seriously. At the end of the day, the more consolidation you have, the less competition you have, and the competitive market, especially in the airline industry, is very, very important. Now that you have Sun Country out, you have Spirit out. You really have a handful of low-cost airlines that actually reach certain regional airports that wouldn't necessarily be hit by other larger airlines like United or Delta or American. You really need these airlines to be active, to be able to get people to where they want to go. So the truth is, at the end of the day, the consumer is really the one that gets hit, because essentially what's happening with this consolidation is you're creating not so much monopolies, but you're creating less competition, and it generally just hits the consumer where it always hurts, which is in the pocket. So at the end of the day, I don't know if the positives outweigh the negatives, especially in this merger, because there's been so much consolidation or bankruptcy in this space.
So Allegiant claims the cuts are temporary, and that they're driven by a pilot shortage. Talk to me about this pilot shortage.
So when you're discussing pilot shortages, I mean, overall, especially with the Spirit bankruptcy right now, you don't have a significant pilot shortage when it comes down to it. You literally have had hundreds of pilots who have lost their jobs in the past 2 months. So pilot shortage is kind of I guess a key word for we're trying to figure it out. We're going to see what works and what doesn't, and let's see how this where we can make the efficiencies. When it comes to Allegiant and Sun Country, they're competing in the same playground, and they always have. And at the end of the day, they're trying to kind of work out the efficiencies. They might blame it on pilot shortages, but right now we know, especially in the industry, there are plenty of pilots who are looking for work.
Does this signal the end of budget airlines, or I mean, the possible end of budget airlines?
So I don't know if it will flag an end to the budget airline. I do think it definitely gives pause to people that are starting new airlines, especially in this space. I mean, Breeze is probably the last airline to be founded in this space, and that was close to 5 or 6 years ago. So you haven't had a lot of other companies enter. Um, the big issue here really is oil. And if you can't get a hold of oil prices, it's very, very difficult to make money in this space. So unfortunately, in the short term, it does look like you're not going to have a lot of these airlines come up. But as they get, I guess, as oil prices kind of level out a little bit and they get a little bit smarter and figure out how to work the volatilities in the oil market. You will see new players come in, but for right now, at least temporarily, it's not going to be the death of low cost airlines, but there's certainly going to be major differences, I guess, differences in the way that the airlines, low cost airlines, are going to operate.
I think about like Europe, where you have Ryanair, you have so many budget airlines. What is the difference between America and there? I mean, you can still get a $50 flight over in Europe.
That's an excellent point. That's an excellent point. For the most part, the easy answer is regulations. Regulations in Europe are a little bit more lax when you're dealing with FAA and domestic FAA regulations. You're gonna have a harder time being able to open an airline. To start an airline in the United States is significantly more difficult than starting one in the EU or any of the European nations. So barriers to entry are much higher in the United States, which is why you don't see the Ryanairs pop up in in America very often. And you do see them in Europe, and they do offer amazing fares. Very few of them, at the end of the day, survive. Ryanair is a success story, and that story yet has to be written with the oil prices in Europe skyrocketing, especially in the past couple of weeks. So. Again, it's one of those things that the U.S. kind of lags, for better or for worse. I don't know if right now with the bankruptcy of Spirit and also with this merger, it seems that the larger carriers have been able to ingest a lot of the significantly increased over the past couple of months, and especially over the past couple of weeks. You see huge fluctuations in ticket prices.
Yeah, and like you said, that fuel, the cost of fuel is not helping. Do you expect that other airlines will fill the void when you see Allegiant, pulling nearly 350 flights?
Yeah, so far, and we saw this with Spirit. Yeah, there will be some airlines that will fill the void. Right now, in your area, you are void of a lot of routes that were canceled. But generally, what ends up happening, especially in these mergers, it's a supply and demand issue. So if they see demand for a particular route, they'll come back to it, and they'll again. I'm not going to get. And there are no guarantees in the airline industry, but generally, if the demand is there, they will supply. Most of the routes that come that get deleted from a merger are ones that were either inefficient or slow.
When an airline cancels flights like this, is the passenger entitled to anything?
So if they cancel your flight right out off the bat, you're entitled to a refund. Legally, they cannot keep your money, and if they could, even if they offer you a ticket that might be a stopover, if it's not a direct flight, or they offer you some sort of compensation, they must give you a refund. Again, they can try and book you, and most of the time, what they try and do is reroute you. The biggest pet peeve that we see with canceled routes, especially on the service that we provide at SlickTrip, is when they reroute the flight to a stopover. So you're flying direct, and now that they've deleted a certain route, you need to now go to another city to pick up a flight directly to where your destination was. But you are entitled to a full refund legally, and there should be no issues on that.
I mentioned earlier, but I mean, we're talking 1/3 of its departures from Minneapolis-St. Paul
Yep.
being canceled. That's a lot.
That is a lot.
You know, they say it's temporary, but you've been in this business a long time. Do you think that these flights are ever coming back?
So the 300 flights, I would say, are not coming back. You're going to end up having probably between a 50 and 60% return rate on the flights coming back. Essentially, since it was a hub, and there were so many flights there, you're going to probably see at a very bare minimum half of those flights half of those routes stay dormant, just because the efficiency factor. One of the reasons why this merger actually did take place is because of those inefficiencies in those routes. So again, as time goes by, you're going to see these routes come pop back in. But the realistic answer is you're probably looking at between 30 and 40% of those routes never coming back.
Very interesting. John
Yeah.
Mueller from Slick Trip Travel Expert, really appreciate you.
Absolutely, and you can always go to slicktrip.com, track your flights, and you can avoid these issues completely, as
Love
always.
it. All right.
All right, thank
Great
you so much.
advice. Thanks, John.
Take care. Have a good day.
Okay, we do have a little bit of breaking news. This has been rumored for quite a while, but Nicole Mitchell, so she is the former state legislator who was charged with burglarizing her mother-in-law's house after her father's death. She now has announced that she is running for city council in Woodbury. So she is no longer at the state legislature, but she's wants to continue her career in politics, so she is now running for Woodbury City Council. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back after this. Welcome back. As wildfires continue to burn up in the Arrowhead region, we have seen the community up there just come together to help each other as thousands have faced evacuation and many homes and cabins are threatened. Bradley Tupy owns a property management company and they're offering free wildfire mitigation. Bradley joins us now. Bradley, thanks for coming on the show.
Hey, how's it going?
Okay, so your company, you guys are offering free wildfire mitigation. So you'll come to people's homes or cabins and clean up, the brush or whatever around. Tell me what you're doing.
So pretty much we go out and we kind of assess the property and we just ensure our kind of gig is the 50-foot radius. So we're working the 50-foot radius at absolutely no cost. And we just go through and we assess pretty much 50 feet up and 50 feet around and we clear it all out, haul out what needs to be hauled out and kind of go from there. And then, if the homeowner wants further decisions, then we make those decisions when that time comes.
Why are you guys doing this?
Show the community kind of what we're all about and what we do and show my work ethic and the ability of what we're able to do.
Talk to me about how important it is to clear that brush away from a home. We've seen how it can save cabins. Just talk to me about that.
So in my head and theory and to my knowledge, kind of, if you clear it out a distance, it'll have that much more time that the firefighters or the aircrafts or the helicopters or whichever is able to get out there and assess further into there. So kind of my job is just to clear it all out and make sure that it's a safe distance away from the property.
Has anybody taken you up on it?
Many of people. I've probably helped a little over 50 or 60 customers now within 7 to 12 days. So it's kind of been pretty busy.
I mean, you got to pay the bills. So how
Yep.
how are you doing this for free? Is it just? I mean, I know that business has been so impacted up there, and not a lot of tourists come in town. But how are you doing this?
So we're doing it for free, but tips are not accepted. Or not expected, but they are accepted. So we are accepting tips and people have been generous and they are giving tips out. So that has definitely helped. But other than that, we're just doing our best while we still are running our day-to-day jobs. So the income is still there, but we're just doing our best to help out with the community the best that we can.
Yeah, so great. Talk to me about the community response up there, because I've just been continually impressed by how the Arrowhead region has really just come together and taking care of each other. And you're there. So, I mean, tell me what you've witnessed.
Everybody coming together. I mean, left, right, in town, out of town, businesses, not businesses, people, homeowners. If people need to be evacuated, people are offering up homes, Airbnbs, property to bring campers, to store stuff. I mean, it's just left and right. You're looking every which other way, and there's people helping out everybody. So.
What do you want people who are watching this, like way far away from the fires in the Twin Cities? What do you want them to know about that region and what's happening up there right now?
Honestly, it's super scary, and what's happening is unexpected, and I've honestly never witnessed anything like it myself. So I guess the thing that I would say for now is to just don't expect that you have to come up and help. Kind of leave it to everybody else while it starts to get better, hopefully. So
do you know of anyone who's lost their home or their cabin? Have you heard of anyone who's lost something?
I have heard of only one property on an island that is to my knowledge. Otherwise, no, I haven't heard of really anything else, which is very good. So
yeah, that's wonderful news. Those firefighters are working really hard to hold that boundary.
Very.
I really appreciate Bradley Tupy, he owns a property management company up there in Ely, and offering to clear debris from around homes for free, wildfire mitigation for free. Really appreciate you, Bradley. Thanks for coming on the show.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Paul Milgate, I mean, I'm just so amazed continually as we cover this fire, how this community is coming together and just lifting each other out and helping each other out. It's just incredible to see.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible. And I'm just going to bring up, while I've got it here too, this is, if you need to get in touch with Bradley, here it is, his Facebook details. That's where he said to reach out to if you're in need of that support. So yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, like you said it yesterday, and you said it so eloquently, and I can't quite remember what it was, but it was something along the lines of, you see the best of people in the worst of times, and we're certainly seeing that out of our northern neighbours up north.
Yeah, I love it. You know, there's a wonderful Facebook page. It's called What's Up Ely. They have like 30,000 followers. And I check that page every day. And every day, Paul, I see people, what I'm seeing now. In the beginning, it was, we're being evacuated, you know, we need somewhere to stay. People were offering up their homes. Now, what I'm seeing a lot of is my family members are coming up there to help in the firefight. They're firefighters, you know, they're volunteer firefighters or they're paid wildland firefighters, and all the lodging is taken up. And people are offering their homes to these
complete strangers,
to these firefighters, and it's just incredible. I know, even they had to cancel the Blueberry Festival this week, which is a big tourist attraction in Ely. I don't know if you knew this, but the blueberries up on the North Shore are absolutely incredible. I lived 2 years in Duluth, and I would make blueberry jam for my family for Christmas every year because the blueberries are incredible. But so the Blueberry Festival being shuttered is a big loss. But you would be amazed. The businesses in town who usually get an influx of revenue from the Blueberry Festival are actually really supportive of the decision. And most of it is they know that they need the lodging for the firefighters. So
yeah,
their perspective is really admirable.
And I think that's the thing that I've noticed as well, is that every single person we've spoken to on this show is so positive. You know, they have this real hopefulness to them, and it's really inspiring to speak to these people from up north.
Northern Minnesota, they make them right up there, let me tell you.
Maybe they're the ones skewing the friendliest state. They're skewing the results in the Twin Cities in their favor.
Truly, the Northern Minnesotans are helping us out in that. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back after this. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here on All Day Live. I'm Courtney Godfrey. Well, just a while ago, I brought you some breaking news. A year after her burglary conviction, Nicole Mitchell is running for Woodbury City Council. So the former Minnesota senator was sentenced to 6 months in jail for breaking into her stepmother's Detroit Lakes home back in 2024. She of course, could no longer be a state legislature after that. But on Tuesday, she filed as a candidate for the Woodbury City Council. She's seeking one of 2 open seats that will be on the ballot in November. She said, as she was quoted in a social media quote, saying, "Much like I hope to bring winds of change to the city of Woodbury on issues including transparency, environmental protection, advocating for all members of our community, the meteorologist in me chose to file on this beautiful day when a different wind of change finally broke the heat and smoke, giving way to comfortable temperatures again." Obviously, she had to resign from the Minnesota Senate last July after a jury found her guilty of first-degree burglary. Well, now she is again running for Woodbury City Council. Okay. I am hearing that our next guest is on the line, so I am going to pivot to them. So Caitlin Michael is with the, who is she with, Paul? I know that this has to do with the Audubon bird mural.
Yes, and Katie is the artist who actually has been commissioned to do the next big, huge piece of artwork that we're going to see in this amazing Audubon bird mural project. So the Audubon mural project has spanned many states. We've seen artists be commissioned to do these amazing pieces in New York City, and they have now hit Hopkins here in Minnesota. Minnesota is the first state, and I know what you're going to say. It's always about Hopkins with Paul because that's where I'm from, where I live. But Hopkins has started doing these amazing Audubon bird murals all around town, and Katie is bringing the next one to life, a massive piece of art, 20 feet by 80 feet project. We've got the render that I'm going to be able to bring up at some point, but why don't you get underway with chatting with Katie about this project, why it's important, why it's raising awareness for what it's raising awareness for, and then I can bring up some of those images.
What an intro. I mean, come on, nobody could have done it better than that. Paul, you should just conduct this interview. But he's right. Katie joins us now. Katie, thanks for coming on the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Okay, talk to us about your project, about this Audubon mural project and what you've got going on in Hopkins.
Yeah, so the mural project, as Paul said, is part of the Audubon mural project, and this is highlighting species of birds that are especially vulnerable to climate change, and all the species in the mural are local to Hopkins, Minnesota, and you can see them if you're a birder, you can see them if you're on a hike. So I'm hoping that these species will be recognizable to birders, but also inspire curiosity and interest in birds and the natural world in folks that aren't already birders.
This is not the first Audubon mural. There are many others. Talk to me about how widespread this project has become.
Yeah, there's three Audubon murals already in Hopkins. It's been a really amazing effort. I think those were installed last year, and the one I'm working on is the new one for this summer. And yeah, it's just a really great way to utilize public art and celebrate birds and the many different ecological connections that celebrate their wonderful role in the natural world and the joy that they bring us humans.
We do have a rendering on the screen now. It's beautiful. It looks like you really want to depict just the role that birds play in the ecosystem. Can you describe what you were trying to convey with this mural?
Yeah, thank you. This is one of the initial sketches. So the final design has changed just a little bit, but it is essentially the same, where there are bookends, two birds on each end. Those are the eastern whippoorwill, and they are a nocturnal species. So they're hunting for moths and insects at night. And a Luna moth is depicted in the mural, which is one of their prey items. And then the Luna moth's host plants are also depicted. So we have evening primrose and blue phlox. And then in the center is a wood thrush, which is another local species. And they're eating a winterberry. And the winterberry hosts the Hobomuk skipper. So the moth and butterfly and plant and birds are all interconnected through food webs and just the very wonderful, complex, and balanced and resilient web that is the natural world.
Wow, so interconnected.
Katie, I'm going to jump in here because you can probably tell from my introduction that I'm quite excited about this project, not only because I'm an animal lover, but also because I do live in Hopkins. I'm really curious. What I think is really special about this particular project and the murals that exist all over the world now, I think it's something like 142 murals around the world to raise awareness for these birds that are at risk. They're not just your typical birds that we see. You know, when you think of Minnesota and you think of the bird life that we have here, loons, a bald eagle, they're not the stereotypical ones. What goes into picking these like gems that need to be highlighted?
Yeah, thanks, Paul. That's a great question. I chose these species from the list of highly vulnerable species to climate change that the Audubon identified. And personally, I have not seen a whippoorwill myself, but I love them and wanted to paint them. And when I saw that that was one on the list, that I just had to do it. So nice painting it twice. And then the wood thrush, the one in the center, is one of my favorite birds. So yeah, the list was already provided by the Audubon Society as birds that are especially vulnerable. And of course, all birds are worthy of celebration and public art, but the story behind the mural, the Audubon mural project, is specifically related to these species that are more sensitive than others.
And then to take it down the art path of this, how are the artists chosen? How are they selected? Because we do have all this. I've got some pictures here of some of the other pieces that we've seen, or that you can see if you head downtown in Hopkins. You know, here we have one that I just think is a stunning piece. But this wasn't painted by you. This is a different artist. Is that correct?
Right. Yes. I believe this is by Kada Golan. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing their last name right, but they're a Minnesota-based muralist. I'm based in Denver, so this project that I'm doing right now was a public call, and I'm not sure how many applicants there were, but there were 3 finalists that were chosen to create a design, and then a committee voted on it, and that's how I ended up out here. I'm not sure how these other artists were selected, if it was the same process, I'm not sure. Yeah, this is another one. I love this one. This one's on 11th Street in Maine. Let's see, I think that was by Audrey Carver, and then this one is by Adam Turman.
Katie, I'm curious, how long will it take you to complete a mural of this size? I get the sense that you have done this before.
Yes, I have done this before. I'm very art and illustration.
Sorry, Katie, we are having issues with
this take 3 weeks and through the end of next week.
Katie, we might have to get you to tell us that again. We just had a little glitch in our Zoom. Zoom has been letting us down a little bit today. It's not just you. So Courtney's question was, how long is this piece of artwork? Just to give context, through 80 feet by 20 feet on the side of the City of Hopkins Public Works building. That's no small feat to attempt.
Right, yes, it's a large one. It'll take about 3 weeks.
3 weeks. Wow. Well, Katie, Michael, we so appreciate you joining us. When do you start? When do you start painting?
I have been working on it now for a little over a week. So today I just started painting one of the whippoorwills.
Okay. When should Hopkins residents expect to see the final product?
End of next week.
End of next week. Wow, you work quick.
Are you doing it as a time lapse? Are you time lapsing this? Are you capturing this process of the paint going on and this whole piece of work coming to life?
You know, I try my best to capture photo and video, so I'll be taking some for sure. But a really awesome local photographer, Bob Matokson, has been visiting, so he'll be documenting it for me. Very generous and creative fellow, so there will be things to see for sure.
Maybe can you connect us with when we get off here? If you can connect us, we'd love to see some pictures as this comes to life, and we'll keep everyone updated on this mural that's going on the side of the City of Hopkins Public Works building.
Katie, I am curious before you go. I mean, you're clearly passionate about this. Do you go birding yourself? I mean, do you go out and?
Oh, yes. I am a certified bird obsessed person, and my background actually before doing art full time was in field research and science communication. So I've worked for the Golden Gate Bird Alliance and in Colorado volunteer for the Bird Conservancy of the Rockies. So can't keep me away from them.
Courtney, have you hit that point in your life yet where you become obsessed with birds?
Listen, let me tell you, I actually have I have this wonderful book that I bought the kids. It's called Birds of Minnesota, and it's for kids. It's a great book. I recommend it to everyone. And I think they make them for every state, but they separate it by color so my kids can go, oh, I saw a bluebird, I'm gonna go look, and they find it. And we have a feeder right outside the window where we eat our meals. And so we are quite obsessed with our local bird population in my house. So I'm not an expert. We don't like go out looking for birds, but let me tell you, my 6-year-old can name every type of bird that at least is in the Minnetonka area. So
that's incredible. I love, just a quick story here. I was a little bit of a reluctant to admit that I'd become a birder. I'd love to travel, take photos of animals and things. And when we moved into our new house, I was joking with my wife that, you know, I'm never going to become a birder. I'm never going to become obsessed with going out and taking photos of birds. And she's like, we should print some of your photos to put up around the house so that we can see, you know, you've gone to that effort to take these photos. And I sent them to the printer, and then she came back laughing her head off at the end of that day. She takes out all the photos and she's like, you were saying earlier today that you don't want to become a birder, but this is a photo of a bird. This is a photo of a bird. This is a photo. You picked pretty much exclusively photos of birds to put up around the house. So I think it happens to all of us.
what he's not telling you, Katie, is that him and his wife met at a birding singles event.
No, that is not true. That is absolutely not true. But you know, we met in a hostel in Portugal.
No, that's a story for another time.
That's a story for a whole other time, Katie. We won't get you involved. But thank you.
There were probably birds there.
There probably were. We really appreciate you taking the time to come and chat to us, and we look forward to following the story as this mural goes up on the outside of that building, that massive painting that you're doing, massive mural in Hopkins. So thanks so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Katie. Appreciate it. Paul Milgate, wow, you just really took the control that interview, and I feel like I could have just gone to the bathroom or something, and you would have been just fine.
Well, I feel a little guilty to bring everyone behind the scenes. Courtney and I were like, well, this in the last ad break, we had just rearranging a few different things, and we were like, this is the next plan, this is what we're going to do, and then Katie was already on the line, and we were like, you know what, mid-segment, let's pivot, and Katie got brought in sort of unprepared, and I sort of...
No, Katie was not the one who was unprepared. Courtney was the one who was unprepared.
I threw you through a ringer, and I do apologize.
And I actually, Paul, you are so good at anything that has to do with nature and animals, and so I'm always so glad when you jump in, because, you know what, I can't carry the whole load around here.
You can't have the world on your shoulders, Courtney. You need someone else to support just a little bit. I'll just take Australia and animals from you.
Yes, Australia and animals. So we can basically fill about an hour with that every day.
Yeah, and we will be filling the rest of this hour until 5 o'clock. We're going to be taking you all the way to the 5 o'clock news. It's the first time that our team has actually done that. So,
and what a gift that is.
What a gift that is. Thank you, Courtney. Appreciate it.
All right. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back after this. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us this Thursday afternoon. Well, hopefully you've had a chance to step outside today. Maybe you're even live streaming us from your boat. That'd be nice. Your pool? Where was my invite? Erica Mrazek joins us now. Can't complain about this weather, Erica.
Really nice outside. I would like to know where was my invite to
Yeah.
for the pool.
Come on. And it's going to get hot, hot, hot again this weekend, so you're going to need to find some water.
That's for sure, especially, Saturday, Sunday, and all of the start of next week. It's going to be hot. Today, perfect day, though. Temperatures aren't too hot, aren't too cold. It is a little bit below average, but it is very comfortable outside. There's wind from the south, so that's why it's a little bit warmer than yesterday. It's spinning around an area of high pressure towards the east, so that's keeping it sunny here and dry. So overall, it is a perfect Thursday weather-wise. So past 3 hours, barely anything has happened. Just a few passing clouds. Those are mostly south and west because there is a disturbance way further south and west that's bringing a couple high clouds to places along the Minnesota River Valley. Overall, high temperature today so far reached 78. So it is cooler than average. Typically, it's about 84 degrees, so mid-80s for your middle to end of July. So we are shy of that, but overall, it is just a really pleasant day. Light breeze, lots of sunshine, tons of 70s and 80s out there at the moment. 78 currently in the metro. It is a little bit cooler, though, over in parts of the Arrowhead where temperatures get into the 60s and the 50s once you get that impact from Lake Superior. But everywhere else, 70s, 80s, and it feels just like the air temperature because the dew points are pretty mild. There's also not a lot of wind. The wind is going to pick up into tomorrow, though. But right now, southwest breeze, currently 7 miles an hour. It is super gorgeous outside. It's a great day to go and walk around the lake. Here's White Bear Lake right now. Looks gorgeous for the afternoon. And looking ahead, it's going to be a pretty nice day for most tomorrow, too, after your beautiful, sunny, warm Thursday. Tomorrow, it is going to get a little bit warmer, also slightly more humid. And then overall, it's looking like a gorgeous day on Friday, except for places north. There is the chance in the afternoon, evening for the risk of some showers, some thunderstorms possibly, and that's a level 2 out of 5 risk for severe weather for those friends located north. But in the metro and places south, there is going to be none of that for tomorrow, so don't expect any showers elsewhere. And then into your weekend, it starts to get hot. So high temperatures get back to the 90s. It is another heat wave. 90s will stick around through Sunday and even into perhaps Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week with some humidity there too, especially for the weekend. And then also one other thing is on Sunday, there is the chance for a few showers, perhaps a few storms. Still a little bit too far out for the details on Sunday's system. But overall, Courtney, just expect a lot of hot weather as we head back into the weekend for this weekend.
All right. Wonderful. Thanks so much, Erica. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
But before Erica goes, I just want to know, have you got a favorite bird, Erica?
A favorite bird? This might be a basic answer. I feel like I would say a bluebird.
Oh, that's a good one.
Because they're just pretty and I feel like they're unique. You know,
you look as lovely as a Baltimore Oriole today in your orange dress.
Thanks. I do have a story though about birds. So back in the day, I was helping an old coworker with a project, and he was doing a presentation that was related to birds. So I was helping him make the PowerPoint, and I was sitting at this coffee shop looking up this like one specific bird type just to take a picture of it and put it on the PowerPoint. And then this random person was like, "Oh, do you do ornithology?" And I was like, "Oh, like sorry, like what?" And they were like, "Oh, ornithology." And I was like, "Oh, like no." And I had no idea what it was. I've never heard of the word. So then I looked it up after, and it was a study of birds. I was like, that's so funny that it must have been a unique bird I had a picture of that the person thought I was
a bird expert.
Ornithology.
I think that's what Paul would do if he wasn't working in TV.
Oh, yeah. Or a zookeeper. If anyone's looking
that'd
for
be fun.
Anyway, I just did put up fox9.com/all day. Since we've been chatting about birds and the birds that have been captured around Minnesota, send us a picture. If you've got a nice picture of a Minnesota bird and like one of the really niche ones, send us that and we'll put it up for everyone to have a look at.
I don't have a picture, but maybe I'll get it eventually.
Yeah.
Put it up on there.
Maybe you haven't hit the birding stage of your life just yet, Erica.
Maybe a couple years.
Yeah, give you a couple of years.
Yeah.
She's young, Paul. She's young yet.
It comes for all of us.
It does. It truly does. All right. Paul, I just want you to let me know. I am hearing that we are getting a shot out of Wisconsin. We don't know what city it is quite yet, but last night, we brought you this news earlier today, but last night a police officer fatally shot a man who allegedly pulled out a knife during a struggle as officers were looking into a report of someone checking vehicle doors Wednesday afternoon in Madison. So police responded to that neighborhood about 1 p.m. yesterday after a report of someone possibly trying to break into parked cars. That is according to the Madison police chief. The person then fled on a bicycle, but officers caught up to him about 30 minutes later, and the man can't really tell, was either fell off the bicycle or was taken off the bicycle by officers. There was a struggle with police there in that intersection. During the struggle, the man allegedly pulled out a knife or some kind of fixed blade, and the officer was injured while attempting to arrest him. The police department says that officer then exchanged fire with the individual, and that person was killed. We are getting a shot, I'm told.
We do have a shot. We've just to give you the transparency here, we do have a shot of it coming in. We think that's where it's coming from. I'm just hesitant to put the shot up until we know exactly where it is, what we're seeing, and that the person that is filming this knows that we're actually taking the shot live. So I'm going to keep an eye on it and then bring it to you as soon as we know that it is coming in and that it's clear for us to use.
Okay.
So yes, I think it would be good. I mean, it's certainly an interesting shot. We're seeing a lot of action and what looks to be the beginning of a gathering with people with signs with what we think is connected to this, but I just want to make sure that we're buttoned up and that is actually correct before I put that shot up for everyone to see.
All right. The individual who was killed by Madison police has been identified as Corey Ruiz. It's being reported that he is a homeless individual living in the Madison area. Again, his name was Corey Ruiz, killed by a Madison police officer yesterday. And now we are seeing protests erupt across Madison today as a result. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in just a bit. Welcome back. Like we mentioned, we're following news out of Madison, Wisconsin, where there was an officer-involved shooting yesterday. A man who has been identified as Corey Ruiz was shot by police there yesterday, and it has resulted in protests in Madison. There is a press conference taking place right now. It has already started. It's well underway. It's been disrupted a couple times by protesters. We want to dip into that live now. Take a listen.
This process is going to end in accountability.
It's exactly why I brought up the historical trauma and incidents that have occurred in the same neighborhood. It's the same reason that I brought it up, and I feel like my job is to do my darndest to make sure that this investigation is independent, that I am not at all influencing that in any way, that I'm not using my position in any way to influence it. I'm not using historical decisions that didn't involve, frankly, anyone in this room. But we have to ensure that this particular investigation has complete autonomy from this police department. We're going to cooperate fully with it. We're not going to influence it. Anything they need, they're going to get from us, period. That's what I can assure you. And I can't say anything up here, as you would suspect, that is going to be able to address something that we have all been talking about, I have been talking about for over a decade. You know that. Yes, I know you've had your hand up, so please, go ahead, I'm sorry.
So my question is specific to police training, specifically with defense and arrest tactics. Number one, it's kind of a two-part question, all right? So number one, are your officers trained under DAT to use the least amount of force possible to overcome a threat? And if they choose to use deadly force, do they have to evaluate, say, after each shot is fired, whether or not the threat is still there?
There is a standard of a threat of great bodily harm or death that must be articulated to oneself or to someone else. And so that is a standard that DCI will be evaluating when they start. That is a standard we will use when we do our use of force review. You clearly have read from the DAT curriculum.
I have a lot of experience.
That's good. That's good. And so that will happen.
Okay.
That will happen.
Okay.
Can I jump to her? Because she's also had her hand up, and I'll come back to you. Yep. Go ahead.
You said that I saw on Facebook that the knife had supposedly punctured the police officer, but then I got a witness who saw the whole thing who called and said, hey, the knife was found in his pocket once he was shot. Can you clarify?
I don't know. I don't know. That's up to DCI to articulate and to find out and to investigate. I don't know. I saw a photo of it on the pavement. That's what was shared. I don't know how it was produced. I don't know how it got to the pavement. That's all part of their investigation that they need to figure out.
What is the officer's effect after he was shot?
The officer was, all four officers, including the officer that received the injuries and the other officer that had injuries, they all were evaluated at a hospital. And they've been released. Okay. So, yes.
To clarify, the mayor said that she would request funding for a body camera program. Is that another pilot, or is that funding for?
Well, I hope not. But what I requested
it's a full program.
Okay.
Do you know approximately the price tag for that and when that could be implemented? Just approved?
I don't have the numbers at the top of mind, but it's in the police department's capital budget request, and I assume in their operating budget request as well, which will be public soon. So you could go look at the capital budget request for those numbers. The program that the police proposed was a rollout over multiple years. I believe 3 years. Is that right, Chief? Yeah. So there is proposed to roll out over 3 years. There is a capital cost for the equipment. There's also an operating cost for the technical support, and then the records review that is required when you have more video. And people obviously will request that through an open records process, and they need more staff to review that video. So that's the operating cost.
Is there funds for the Office of Independent Monitor and PCOB to be able to institute and recommend policies for the rollout of these body-worn cameras?
So I haven't received the budget request yet from the Office of the Independent Monitor. That will come as part of the operating budget, and we'll review that just like we review from any other agency. I'll review the request just like every other agency comes in, and we review it and we make a decision. We'll release the executive operating budget. I believe it's in October.
Do you recognize that the
And
civilian police oversight?
I just want to be respectful as reporters, and you guys are free to ask questions, but let's just try to get
Right.
people who have their own. Patrick, maybe over there.
Yeah, could you tell us a little more about the use of the taser? You mentioned that it failed to work.
It was unsuccessful. I don't.
No, it went
That-
off.
that-
Stay discreet. It went off.
Unsuccessful can mean a number of things. It can mean the probes failed. It can mean there wasn't neuromuscular incapacitation for some reason. It can mean a lot of things. I don't know what happened.
Recognize when somebody is convulsing due to being tased versus when they are considered still
Of course.
not incapacitated?
Yes.
And is there a period of time when officers are supposed to wait to see if the taser is effective before pursuing other measures?
I'm your chief. I am not a use of force expert, but what I can tell you about the tasers, when there's successful deployment, there typically is a 5-second time period that is delivered. So let me say this. Let me say this. But that we have to be, let me just finish. We have to be careful with that, because if it's not successful, you're not going to see the same results. You're not going to see the same,
But that's also not enough time to see if there's
you're not going to see this, you're not, but we are also trained, to hear what the taser is telling us, and often when there's an unsuccessful deployment, for whatever reason, I don't know, it could be bulky clothes, it could be a probe missed or what have you, you're going to hear something different. It's going to be audible, it's going to be very loud.
a taser a second time prior to discharging a firearm?
In an instance where a weapon of any sort is involved, if less lethal is an option, we're going to try to use that as often as possible, to your point. So this is all going to be reviewed by DCI. I don't know what else to say on that.
Our community is going to mourn someone whose life was lost on Willie Street. You all are members of Madison's community. Will you join us to mourn the life and continue to answer questions that community members clearly have?
Yes, I'll do my best.
Not a uniform, regular community
Person, can we do that? Can we
I will talk
address
about
some
it
of the
after,
questions
yes.
here, please? This gentleman.
Yes, sir, yes. I'm sorry, he's had his hand up.
It's very, very, hopefully very quick. I know you just said you're not a use of force expert, nevertheless. When considering what a reasonable officer would have done in this sort of situation, in terms of whether or not a reasonable officer would have used deadly force as described under DAT, how is that evaluation affected when there's multiple officers involved in the same situation, but only one officer decides to use lethal force in a way that...
I want to be really careful, and I'm not trying to dodge you. But I want to be really careful. I don't want to dodge you. I mean that respectfully, but we all have to remember what I said. You know, me standing here as your police chief, if I steer my comments in a certain direction or I render something that's viewed as an opinion, that can affect the independent investigation. I can't do that. I can't do that, and so for that reason, I'm going to not give you a response that you may want right now. I'm sorry. I just do not want to impact that investigation. And no, I appreciate that. George, I'm sorry I haven't gotten to you.
I mean, are you aware of any MPD officer that has been charged or convicted in the past of actions while taking on the force?
George, no, I'm not. Yes, ma'am.
I want to say that we know by statistics that Madison, Wisconsin is one of the most racist states to live in. We're here. We know that Black people are here. We know the government is trying to work with all people here in Madison, Wisconsin. We have seen us come so far. Madison has been really, really quiet while the world has been turned upside down. And yesterday, our world is turned upside down by a senseless death. I do believe that, and this is my opinion, that if that was a white person, he probably would not be dead today.
Exactly.
He probably would be today, but he probably would not have been murdered yesterday. So I'm here, can't say how everybody else thinks, but I truly believe that that was a Caucasian person, that they probably would be in your jail, but not somebody's mother mourning in this community mourning. So I just want Madison to be a little aware. And just one more thing, we know that election time is coming up, and this is very, very important. This is super important to you guys, to us, to our children, to our future children.
We ain't gonna vote our way out of this.
Hold on. The way that we make change is that we elect those. No. I'm just talking real, homie. We know that the way we make change is changing laws, and we have to rub elbows with those who are lawmakers and who can really change laws, because we don't want to live like this. We don't want to go back to where our parents used to live. We don't want to, the racism, there's no place for racism in Madison or within the Lord. So that's where I'm going with it. So we need to work.
To George Floyd.
Let's work together.
Laws can help, but they don't prevent. Correct. Like my
We need some, but let me just get to her, please. And yeah. Go ahead. I'll get to you, Greg. I promise.
Between the man that died and the officer who shot him, were there any previous encounters that you had?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
One
last
so
press
a follow-up for the mayor. I know you previously said you supported the past body cam pilot, but you weren't sure about body cameras. City department-wide. What's changed? Why is it body cameras?
My main concern has been the cost, given the very severe limitations that the state puts on our budget. And I think when we initially got the estimates from the pilot, there was a very large price tag. And the chief has worked to bring that price tag down in various ways. And so it's really just about, the state very severely limits our budget, both in terms of what we can raise and what we can spend. I have to present a balanced budget. So I think with it being at a lower price tag, it's doable.
Here's the thing, profit is used as an excuse by bureaucracies all the time. Like the fact is even if we get a policy for these body cams, what is your department going to do when they still murder people in cold blood? What is your department going to, is that going to be a part?
Body cameras are not a solution. They are part of a solution, but they are not the solution. No.
Can you really assure us that police training will be different and changed in order to prevent this from ever happening again?
I mean, I look.
That's what I mean. They keep saying
No.
that the profit, it's just too expensive to protect a black homeless man from being murdered by a
A few rapid fire questions, and I guess.
I'm going to get back here and look at. I want to get to the press, and I'll stick around as long as you want me to. All right.
I apologize if you already addressed this when I stepped out, but what was the extent of the officer who shot the man? What were the extent of his injuries? Was it a slashing?
We mentioned that before. I don't know. I understand he was injured. I don't know what the injuries look like.
If that young man, if in fact you guys push that paperwork to say we're going to investigate this as a homicide, why is those pigs not in jail? Your department said, hey, this is a homicide. We're going to push this as a homicide. Why are those people not in jail? Answer that question.
Douglas,
what is the reason
look at
they are not in jail?
Like even if
What is the reason they are not in jail? Mr. Patterson, answer that for us, please.
Douglas, right?
Yes, Douglas.
It's an independent investigation that I can't tell them in any aspect.
If I committed a homicide yesterday, Douglas, Mr. Patterson, if I committed a homicide yesterday and I walked in here today and there were charges being investigating me for a homicide, where would I be right now, Officer Patterson?
Greg, please go ahead.
A question by the gentleman earlier who was asking about multiple shot proportionality of force. There were recommendations from the MPD Policy Procedure Review Ad Hoc Committee around force that have never been implemented by MPD. Those recommendations actually originated with then Representative Chris Taylor, who's now a Supreme Court Justice. When, if ever, does MPD expect to implement those recommendations around use of force?
No, I appreciate you asking that question, Greg. 3 years ago, we went through a strategic planning process. We attempted to include all of the recommendations from both the OIR group, from the ad hoc committee group, from the Control Center, who also issued recommendations. I understand that there is some feelings that maybe that wasn't done well enough, and maybe they weren't reflected well enough. We are committed to working with your office, committed to working with PCOB, committed to working with the entire community to bring those recommendations back, review what's been done, review what needs to happen. If there's reasons why they can't happen, I need to respond to that and explain why if that hasn't been done. It will happen.